So, I went ahead and I tested out using just the individual small components of the mortar cast and the pewter cast to make like single small pieces of jewellery. So, the idea of kind of downscaling it was more of an afterthought. Because the purpose of them was always to be a part of something bigger. So when my tutor was talking to me about it, I did kind of begin to think, well, why not? Because every component I used as part of a bigger piece, all of them should individually reflect the theme standing alone, because I made those decisions when I was designing them and making them. So the pewter pieces and the mortar pieces, the way they look, the inspiration was taken from Gothic architecture, and the fusion of the fabric was to bring in the softer side of the deleter and the material sides of the fashion and the clothing and the material aspects of Gothic literature and the fusion of hard and soft materials. So alone they do reflect the theme and celebrate many characteristics of Japanese street fashion. So I experimented with them and they turned out really amazing. They looked really good. And the thing of them being smaller and simpler really did work, because they, like I said, by themselves they achieve that vibe, that Gothic vibe. And when they're smaller and alone, in many ways it highlights that specific feature, it highlights that specific form. So I've been through them, and what I've decided is that I'm gonna go ahead and use some of the finger experiments, wrapping them around the fingers that I did. So I've chosen which ones I want to use to take forward for the sake of this project and presenting them as outcomes. I mean, technically they could all be outcomes, but I'm just gonna select the best specific ones and use them for my presentation methods. Where I was experimenting with them as brooches, I feel like that is only really the beginning of that kind of thing. So if I had more time and if I had thought about this earlier and was really going to develop and focus on this, then I would think of how I can turn them into feasible working brooches, because seeing them against a human body, like where a brooch would be, they work really well. So if I was going to have more time, I feel like that, yeah, this is just the start of thinking about this idea. So I don't really have enough time to do it justice and develop it now. So I am going to stick with the hand experiments, which are finished within themselves. So the specific ones that I'm choosing to use to take forward, because I'm going to use this design as an individual piece in itself, because this pewter casting, it's very gothic because of the cross motif, and this small casting is very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, all of it is gothic and very Lolita, so the way the threads cross over, it's very much like a corset, and very much like gothic webbing and gothic architecture. So there's not a problem with the way it captures the theme. That's fine. So, and it is very unconventional. You don't see jewellery looking like this very often. So that is achieved as well. And I like the simplicity. I like the fact that it is simple and complex. And I'm gonna combine it with this piece as well. So these three items will be like their own little collection within the jewellery collection. This one is mortar, so I wanted to pick pewter as well as mortar to show that they both work on a smaller scale and they both can stand alone. So after doing this, I think it has shown me that small can have value and can look good and stand alone and express everything you want it to. However, there will always, personally, there will always be a value in, I mean, within the themes and context and purposes of this project, I think that the bigger pieces and the more complex, intense pieces, so my two necklaces and my ring hand webbed piece, the scale and the fact that they are big is more fitting for this project, because it all comes back down to expressing something, expressing the theme and celebrating the theme in different ways, and in a lot of different ways, and this whole eclectic nature of street style, and the fact that you're making a statement. And like I said, when you want to make a statement, in this case, bigger is better. So that is what I've decided to do. So my plan is to take the three, take these 6 outcomes and present them in the appropriate way after I have really specified my context